I'm going to show you what it's like to experience some support from a nutrition coach or a health coach. If you found my page, thank you for being here. I'm Ashley, I'm a nutrition coach. And in this video, I really wanted to give you some extra support. I had this fun idea recently where I thought, I get the opportunity to do all of these amazing check-ins with my clients every single day. And I felt like I could provide this check-in experience really for you on the other end of this. And so that's my goal today. Now, obviously, I can't provide a custom check-in for you because I don't know everything about you. But what I can do is show you some of the things that will really help you in your pursuit of whatever your nutrition goals or your health goals or your habit or your lifestyle change. What are the big things to focus on that are going to help drive you towards success? So let's dive into your own personal coaching experience check-in today. All right, step one of the most important things for me and for you today is I want you to recognize how badass it is what you're doing. If you have found this video and you clicked on it and you decide to watch it, it means that you're making a step towards your own personal goals, whatever that is for you, okay? Most people aren't spending time on things like this. And so even if you feel like you're a million miles from where you would like to be, the fact that you're here today and watching this, it means a lot. So be proud of that, and like, subscribe, follow along, because here's what's going to happen as you get further into this journey, your own personal journey, you're going to start to lose sight of how cool this is, right? Because some of these habits, these goals that you have are just going to be what you do, okay? And so one of my jobs as a coach is to help remind you of how significant this is and how important it is and how cool it is that you're taking these extra steps to better your body, to better your health, and to make you feel better and more alive. So congratulations on that. The next thing that I always encourage my clients to do, and what I'm going to encourage you here in this, is to think about what went well. We have this natural tendency as humans to focus all of our attention on the things that we want to go better and not spend nearly enough time focusing on the reps in the past week that have gone really, really well. And so I want you to pause this and I want you to think about it. Write them down. What went well this week? Because in reality, those are the things that we want to focus on because that's what we want to repeat. When we focus on all of the things that didn't go well, we end up in a position where we're more likely to repeat those. So what went well for you this week? Once you've really highlighted those and thought, wow, these really went well for me, I would say, okay, next, I want you to think about what actions, habits, maybe it's a mindset, what contributed to those going well, because we want to repeat those. And then once you have those written down, and I want you to do that, what things really contributed to you crushing these reps this week, then I want you to ask yourself, what do those wins mean about me? And I know that that's a weird question, but it's a question that I ask people all of the time because those wins mean something about you. It means that you're committed to your progress. It means that your health is important to you. It means that you're driven. It means that you're motivated. Write these things down. Write it in a full sentence again, because these are things that we want to repeat. And when we celebrate what we're doing well, we're much more likely to repeat that. How did your foods feel this week? Okay. Now, obviously, this is something that's a little bit harder for me with you because I can't see the foods that you're eating like I could if I was working with a one-on-one client. But here's some things to think about. Okay. If you're feeling really jazzed and on the mark with foods and you can tackle things with a little bit more precision, I'd recommend tracking your macros. I have a couple of videos out there on tracking macros. If you want to check that out, I have a whole series on that. I do have a free macro and calorie calculator. If you're like, yeah, that's for me, I feel ready for that, go check it out. It's going to give you, based off of your metrics, some great numbers to get started with. Now, if you're more in the camp of, look, I want to start digging into this, but I don't know if I have the mental capacity right now to commit to macros. Here's what I want you to do in this upcoming week. I want you to focus on making a well-balanced plate. And what I mean by that is each time you put together a plate of food or you go to eat a meal, I want you to ask yourself these questions. 1, what do I have in the way of protein? And you should have a solid ass dose of protein. That means 2 eggs, not going to cut it. 2 eggs plus a protein shake, that's what we're looking for. Okay, so 30 to 50 grams of protein, or if you're not tracking your macros, think about like a palm-sized plate of protein or portion of protein. You want 1 to 2 of those. Once you have that on your plate, I want you to ask yourself, what do I have on my plate for energy? This is super important. Your body needs carbohydrates. Now, I like to kind of classify carbohydrates in 2 different camps. There's low density carbohydrates. These are these beautiful carbs like broccoli and lettuce and vegetables, those types of things, celery, all of these mushrooms, these things, peppers, we put these on our plate for color and for micronutrients. You need those. They're really good for you. Here's the thing though, they don't really have a lot of calories. And so we also need some more carbohydrate dense rates on there. I said carbohydrates a lot there to help give you some more supportive energy. So denser carbohydrates are going to include things like your rice, your potatoes, your oats, your high quality grains, fruits. Fruits are beautiful high density carbohydrates. They've got lots of micronutrients and vitamins and minerals on them, but they also pack a really good energy punch, right? They have a few more calories. And then once you have your protein on your plate and you've got something in the way of energy, we also want to make sure we've added in some fats, right? You need all 3 of those each time that you eat. Now, if you've picked a higher fat cut of meat, maybe something like beef, pork, these meats that just carry a little bit more fat, you probably don't need to add any fat to your meal, right? You've got these beautiful animal-based fats already embedded within your protein. Now, if you've selected something like chicken or turkey, okay, something that's really, really lean and doesn't have a lot of fat in it, and you can Google what the higher fat meats are and what the lower fat meats are. You could also download my meal prep guide. It's free. It's on my website. I've also linked it in the description. This is also going to give you a listing of what the higher fat meats are and the lower fat meats. If you have a leaner meat in there, you just want to add something like coconut oil, avocado oil, maybe avocado itself, or some guacamole, some nuts, some seeds, something that's going to give you a little bit of fat in your meal as well. And here's the deal. I know I kind of went off on a long tangent with that, but it's really important to me. Here's the beauty in this. If you're not tracking macros, you just don't quite feel ready to commit to that. If you do this every time you eat, if you make sure you have a solid ass dose of protein, you've got something on your plate for energy, you've got fats, you are organically, without even really trying or tracking, going to be putting together a very macro-friendly day. So that's a great approach if you don't quite feel ready for macros yet. And so I encourage you to dig into that this week. And I always tell my clients, eat as much real food as possible. Okay, if we take that approach where we're just trying to choose foods that are actual foods, all right, if we're using some sort of packaged processed food, we want it to have as few ingredients as possible. You are going to be right where you need to be. Now, I'm not suggesting that you need to switch from all processed and meals out to all home cooked things and all non-processed things all at once. That would probably be a tough road to go, but just aim for a little bit better every single day. If you are putting together those macro-friendly meals with mostly real whole foods, you are going to be a million miles ahead and well on your way to meeting any goal that you have, whether it's performance, whether it's just general health, whether it's habit development or weight loss or maintenance or even weight gain. That's going to be a beautiful prescription regardless of what your goals are. From here, I'd really ask you to think about what stress and sleep are like in your life. Those are really important for me to touch base with my clients once a week because these are 2 things that can really impact our progress towards our goals. When stress is really, really high, it's just harder from a habit-based perspective to feel like we have the energy to meet our goals. Right? And so sometimes stress is just high. Sometimes life is really busy. Sometimes we are just in a season of life where stress is high. And so I would say, what are some things that we could put into place to get some little breaks or some stress relieving activities throughout your week to help keep you in a position where you're set up to attack your goals? Same thing with sleep. the better slept we are, just the easier in general it is to tackle our goals. Also our hormones change when we're underslept that make us more predisposed to mobilize fat, to crave sugar, all of these things that can make it really hard to reach our goals. But again, just the same with stress. Sometimes, quite simply, we are in a season of life where sleep is just lower. Maybe we've got really busy youth sports or young kiddos. And in that situation, I would say do the best with what you've got and try to make it as high quality as possible. And as you head into your next week, I want you to think about what your top priorities are and why, and write them down. Because when we write things down, they go from being kind of like this thought of something we would like to achieve to something a little bit more tangible, and make them tangible. Instead of saying, I want to eat better, really like line it out. I would like to eat 3 home prepared meals a day, or I am going to, even better, eat 3 home cooked meals a day. Which one of those is likely to produce better results? And one of the final things I ask people to do in their weekly check-ins is take a moment to think about what they're grateful for. It's easy in our hustle culture to really get caught up in all of the things that we've got going on and not slow down just long enough to look at the things that are really beautiful in our life. And when we are approaching our day from that place of gratitude, we're much more likely to manage stress and our goals in a way that's going to be supportive to how we want life to look. And so write that down. What are a few things that you're really grateful for in this past week? And how can you create a situation where you can either pay those forward or you can create more opportunities to experience them in your upcoming week? And lastly, I would love to hear from you. Okay, I know that you're not like an actual client of mine, but we now have connected. So if you have questions or you're thinking, wow, if she was my coach, I would really like to ask her this, put them in the comments. I will answer them and guide you in the best way that I can, given what I do know about you. Like, subscribe, follow along. I'm going to be doing more of these so that if someone's maybe not in a position that they can actually sign up for more in-depth coaching right now, they can get some coaching tools and some resources to help send them in a good direction. I also have a lot of free resources on my website. I've linked a few of them below. You're welcome to use them. Have a great day.